Hey guys, it's Amy and welcome to Become Your Own Favorite Chef. Today we're going to make a traditional southern dish called salmon cakes or salmon croquettes. They're really easy, traditional, they're very simple, have a little bit of green onion, flour, and salmon, and that's it. But today we're really gonna spice it up, but we're still gonna keep it very wallet friendly, very cheap. And they're so delicious, so let's get started. When cutting your bell peppers, first take off the top and take off the end. This will give us some stability. Then I just like to cut off, you see there's lines where the core connects. I like to cut right past those. Just a quick, easy way to get all the bell pepper you need. Then we're going to make tiny little julienne cuts at first. Make them as small as you can. After we have those, we're going to cut these in tiny little bites. Perfect. After we have our bell peppers cut into tiny pieces, we can cut our onion. A large yellow onion here. Always cut off the end first. I have it. And I want to cut this onion into pieces as tiny as our bell pepper. The reason we're cutting these into such small pieces is because we're not going to cook the salmon croquettes very long. And if you have big chunks of bell pepper and onion, those aren't going to really get cooked. And you still want them to have a little crunch, but I want them to soften up a little bit, so the smaller the pieces, the better. Cutting up our onion like we always do. And I'm making sure I'm doing lots of cuts so that we have tiny pieces of onion. Once we have all our chopped veggies, we can assemble our salmon croquettes. We have our tiny chopped vegetables here, and I'm going to add 3 cans of 15 ounces of salmon. I'm going to just I'm flaking this while it's in the can. In the can, you usually are going to get a little bit of bone and skin, and that might scare some of you. It's totally fun to eat. In fact, it's actually really nicely flavorful. In fact, my husband Drew loves these salmon croquettes. His mom used to make them when he was little. And his favorite part, he said, was finding a bone and eating it because they're totally chewable and soft. It's very weird, but very good. And he probably won't admit it, but it's still his favorite part of the salmon cakes. Now, he still will fight me if he sees a bone in my croquette. He's like, oh, I want that bite. So yeah, he's still like a little kid. I drained the salmon first, so don't throw all that salmon juice in here. Make sure it's drained. And this looks like a lot. In fact, this is going to be a lot of salmon croquettes, but what I like to do is only cook about half of my batch, put the rest in like a Pyrex bowl or airtight container, and freeze them. And then in another month, when I'm craving salmon croquettes again, I've already made them. I just take them out of the freezer and fry them up. So you can, only do half this recipe if you're not sure if you're going to like these or not, or you're not sure if you love leftovers as much as I do. You don't have to make this many croquettes, but I'm going to. Okay, to the mixture of salmon, lots of salmon, and our vegetables, we're going to start adding some seasonings. And again, traditionally we would add some onion, and some flour or some breadcrumbs or cracker crumbs, and that's that. But tradition sometimes needs a little more flavor, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of kick this up a little bit, make it absolutely delicious, and really we're going to try to hide that real thick salmon taste. There's nothing worse to me than eating something that just tastes like fish. So we'll cover that up a little bit. First off, let's start off with our mustard. I've got yellow mustard here. Dijon is just as good. fact, if I had Dijon, I'd probably use it. So Dijon or yellow mustard. I'm going to do 1 full tablespoon. Then I love Old Bay seasoning with anything seafood related. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of Old Bay seasoning. Give it a little extra flavor. We're going to add a ½ teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Just a little bit. And to give it a little heat. Now, if you don't like spicy, you don't have to add this ground red pepper flakes, but I want just a little kick, nothing that's going to burn my throat, but just a little flavor. So I'm using only 1/4 teaspoon of ground red pepper flakes. That's going to be delicious flavor. For binding, I've got 2 eggs beaten. This is going to make this sticky, make all the vegetables and salmon stick together. The last thing we're going to add for a filling, this really just makes the salmon croquette a croquette, are breadcrumbs. I'm actually going to add 2 cups of Italian breadcrumbs. You could use plain breadcrumbs or whatever your favorite flavor is. But I like the Italian because I like that it's got a little bit of garlic salt. Y'all know I like that. It's got some dried parsley and oregano. We're just going to mix all this up. Now you can mix this with a fork, it'll just take a while, so I like to take my rings off and just dig on in. Oh my goodness, what are y'all doing letting me forget salt and pepper? Don't forget your salt and pepper. So, clean hand. Okay, let's also add a teaspoon of pepper, a lot of pepper, and about a teaspoon of salt. Salt's going to help all those other flavors come out and just make it delicious. So keep on stirring. After everything is well incorporated and mixed, I'm actually going to set this in the refrigerator for 30 minutes or so. You could set it in there longer and let all those flavors kind of work together. And also just let it sit. We let it sit in the fridge for a while. Cooling it down is going to help us to make better little patties that hold together well. It'll help it bind. So, into the fridge we go. Okay, our croquette mixture is set. It's been in the refrigerator for a little over 30 minutes. And I'll show you how to assemble these. First off, we're going to roll them into little cake patties. Then I'm going to put them in this mixture. What I have here is a ½ cup of those Italian breadcrumbs that we put into the mix, and then a full cup of panko breadcrumbs. Panko breadcrumbs are a Japanese breadcrumb. They're very thick, they're big, but they're not too bad at sucking up oil and becoming greasy, so they're perfect for frying food, which is what we're doing. So I'm going to take a small handful. You can make these as big as you like or as small as you like. Just make sure that they're pretty flat and even. So I like just little cute ones like that. For that, we're going to just shake them around in our mixture. The breadcrumbs aren't going to stick like crazy. It's going to just be a very light breading on the outside. So punch some in if you have to. And that's ready to go on the stove. I'm going to get a few more of these together, and then I'll show you how to cook them. The traditional way to cook these is to have a pan on your stove top. I've got just enough oil here to absolutely coat the bottom of the pan. I don't want to deep fry these. We're just going to lightly fry them. I have used vegetable oil. You could use canola oil, peanut oil. If you want to be healthy, yes, you can bake these in the oven instead. I would bake them at an extremely high temperature, but you're still not going to get that perfect crunchy crust on the outside that we're going to get here from frying them in the oil. So this is the way to do it. Well, first off, make sure your oil is completely hot. In fact, you can even throw a panko breadcrumb in there. If it sizzles immediately, you know it's hot enough, or you can put a wooden spoon in there, and if you see it bubbling, you know you're good. We want these to cook hot and fast. Oh yeah, that's the sound we're looking for. And I don't want to overcrowd these, because every time you add food to oil, it brings down the temperature a little bit. So I would never put more than about 5 in at a time. We're going to cook these on one side until they're golden brown, then we'll flip them. It's been about 2 minutes on this side. It's time to flip. Oh my goodness. If yours are not browned yet, keep cooking them until they look just like this. We want them extremely brown and crunchy. And we'll cook another 2 minutes on this side, and we'll be ready to eat. All right, it's been another couple minutes. I'm going to check my other side. It's looking perfect. Put these on a paper towel first so that some of the grease soaks into the paper towel and not your croquette. As soon as these are off the heat, you want to salt them first. I would suggest using sea salt. They're a little bit bigger than just regular table salt if you want to take a look. Kind of looks like little crystals, but they diamonds. So just sea salt top. We're ready to eat. Okay, we got all of our beautiful salmon croquettes finished, and I'm going to taste them now. So I always make this, I guess it's my own version of a remoulade sauce, and I'll put those instructions on the screen for you now. All you have to do is mix those up, and it makes this amazing, slightly spicy, just delicious sauce. It's very unique, and it's perfect on top of these salmon croquettes. So I'm going to split this in half, give you a look there. See the inside of that? It's very creamy, but you can see there's a lot of color. There's red and yellow and orange bell peppers. I can smell those bell peppers and the onions. So let's taste it by itself first. It doesn't taste like salmon. It's not fishy at all. I mean, I do taste salmon, but in a good way. And I'm not a huge salmon fan. First thing though, is the crunch from that crust from frying these is amazing. And the inside is extremely soft and tender. And then I do get a little crunch here and there of a vegetable. It's just very flavorful. I can taste a little bit of kick, but it's not spicy. It's just good. So if you want to give it a little more kick, let's try with this sauce. Now there's a kick. That's perfect together. You have to make this sauce when you make these salmon croquettes. They're so delicious. So if you excuse me, I want to finish eating my dinner.